Can't say stage racing is boring. What's up, everybody? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. We officially have our first two-time winner of the season, Mr. Brad Keselowski. All in all, as a whole, Martinsville as a race did not disappoint. I came into the weekend hoping it would shake things up a little bit, given that it was a much different track than we've been to so far this season, and in a lot of ways it did just that. We saw some of the rookies and other drivers face some serious challenges. We saw established veterans run into troubles of their own, and Kyle Larson, who we've been talking up like crazy for the last month or so now, had his first off race of the season. But in the end, it was a couple of NASCAR heavyweights, Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch. You might have heard of them from the Xfinity Series. Yeah, they're also pretty good in the Cup Series as well. They battled for most of the afternoon, especially the last 100 or so laps, before Keselowski ultimately drove away with it and got his second victory of the season. So yes, that's right, after we went 5 races in a row with different winners, we now have our first repeat winner of the season. It was your typical Martinsville race, you know, about almost 4 hours long, plenty of cautions, it was a lot of spins, a lot of single car, a lot of people was getting mad at each other's. Nothing crazy boiled over, but we even saw lapped cars knocking the leaders out of the way. It was no holds barred madness for much of the afternoon, but it was fun. For much of the race, it seemed like it was Hendrick and Gibbs once again top of the board. Kyle Busch was strong early. Chase Elliott continued to have a good run. Jimmy Johnson had moments where he looked good. So did Matt Kenseth and even Denny Hamlin early in the race. So it seemed like, at least about half the race, that maybe we're back to a couple of these older, more established teams showing their past dominance once again. But towards the end, Penske started to show up again, and Brad Keselowski obviously ended up winning the race. Joey Logano had a top 5 as well, so Penske showed up and broke up that party quite a bit. Kyle Busch still finished second, Chase Elliott still finished third, so both of them off to pretty good starts this season. Both of them basically carrying their respective teams so far. Other Hendrick cars, Jimmy Johnson ran pretty well, but he, towards the end of the race, got put back mid-pack on pit strategy, could not make it back to the front, finished 15th. Dale Jr. was involved in multiple incidents, as were many people. He finished like 35th or something. On the Gibbs side, Daniel Suarez, poor rookie, really struggled all day long. When he got wrecked out, ultimately it was merciful. Denny Hamlin as well involved in a wreck. Matt Kenseth did also have a solid finish, which he needed after 3 out of 5 races with a DNF. He came home 9th after running top 5 for much of the afternoon. So that's really all there is to talk about the race. I mean, I could go in and look at every little incident drama-wise. I know I'll talk a little bit about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I'll do that at least. This was a race weekend where in both the truck race and the cup race, we saw lapped cars really mess with the leaders. Towards the end of the stage, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was fighting to stay on the lead lap when Kyle Busch, the leader, was coming around to lap him and a couple other cars. Stenhouse quickly was lapped, but as Kyle Busch started to potentially put another car lap down, which would have then put Stenhouse out of the lucky dog, Stenhouse chose on the final corner to give Kyle Busch quite a bump out of the groove, so to speak, in order to get his lap back. It also cost Kyle Busch the stage win, which went to Chase Elliott. Obviously, Kyle Busch not going to be happy about that, but I mean, to be fair, I don't think I'd be very thrilled either if a lapped car almost spun me out. A similar thing also happened at the truck race, which I happened to watch, where a driver by the name of Austin Cindric, I believe, also inexplicably tried to block the leaders late in the race after a strong 2 or 3 car battle that was really exciting, put a major block on the leader, ended up wrecking the guy out of the first place or knocking him completely out of the lead, bringing out a caution, totally ruining the last few laps of the race. And maybe it's just Martinsville, and it probably is to a little bit of an extent, but something about this weekend saw lap cars really showing the leaders very little respect or giving them very little breathing room, like we're used to seeing. There's a reason the flagman waves that like blue and yellow flag. It's supposed to say, hey, by the way, the leaders are coming up, so watch out. That flag must have been lost this weekend. Someone must have stole it. Didn't hurt Kyle Busch too much other than he didn't get that stage win, so that's not a bonus point for the chase, which, yeah, probably pretty frustrating. But he still finished second in the race. Good points day for Kyle. Their time will come. So as I mentioned, Brad Keselowski's win, along with Kyle Larson's, an off day, so to say, I think in a lot of ways kind of shook up what we think at the top of the order. Obviously, I think Kyle Larson's still one of the best drivers, best cars so far this season, but Brad Keselowski's been right there as well, and now with his 2 victories, Brad Keselowski, in my opinion, is the guy to watch out for on a given-a-week basis. So I figured I'd do something. I don't really ever pay attention to this type of stuff, but NASCAR.com always releases their power rankings after each race each week, and most of the time I agree with them. I figured to look at this week's and see what there is to see this time. So no real surprise here. The first 2 on the list are Brad Keselowski, followed closely by Kyle Larson. Makes sense. Obviously, Larson was really strong for the last 4 races, but Keselowski does have 2 wins, and he's coming off a win here at Martinsville in a race where Larson, other than brief flashes, really didn't seem to have nearly the same speed. Coming in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we have Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr., and that makes sense. I mean, Chase Elliott, Logano, neither of them have won a race yet this season, but they've both been very strong. They both had several top fives. They're both way up there in points. Chase Elliott, I feel like every week he's like hovering around 3rd or 4th, and that's usually where he ends up finishing. So at least they're being consistent. Martin Truex Jr. obviously has a win, has run well in a couple races this year. He's probably been the best Toyota driver most consistently this year from Furniture Row. So they've got some stuff going for him. Scrolling a little bit further down, Kyle Busch now 6th, and I've said Truex is probably the best Toyota driver so far. Kyle Busch is a close second. If Kyle Busch had a win, he'd probably be right there with him, but Truex does have that win to give him the slight edge. But then we see some fun names here. Clint Boyer, they're showing him 7th now, which that might be a hair high, but it's hard to disagree. He's been strong this year. He's run top 10 at a lot of tracks. He's been in contention. Almost won at California a couple weeks ago. Finished 3rd, I think. But then you see Ryan Newman, who we all remember stole that victory at Phoenix on a good pitch strategy. Ryan Blaney 9th. That's a driver whose consistency I feel like he hasn't been able to find the last year or so, but he showed flashes last season, much like Kyle Larson, that he could be good and potentially contend for wins, and he's showing flashes like that again this season. I think if he's going to really work his way further up this list, he's going to have to show more consistent speed like Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson this season have been doing. And then we get down to some established veterans. Jamie McMurray rounds out the top 10. That one-car team, not been quite as good as his teammate in the 42, but all in all, still been an up season for Jamie McMurray. They made the chase last year by the skin of their teeth. This year, they're looking a little bit better. Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson, both of them have been inconsistent as well, especially Jimmy Johnson. I'm surprised Jimmy Johnson's actually this high on this list. I guess you got to give him, the 7-time champion, the benefit of the doubt, but another 15th place finish at Martinsville this week, a track that that's been his baby for many years. Doesn't bode well for the 7-time champion. Pretty good mix of names here. We've got Denny Hamlin 13th, Casey Kane in 14th. Both those cars, again, been inconsistent. Casey Kane, though, has looked a little bit better this year than I feel like he's looked the last few years. Denny Hamlin, JGR as a whole, has not been quite as good as we're used to seeing. Denny Hamlin's been one of the better ones, let's say. Eric Jones in 15th, definitely been the most consistently impressive rookie so far. He has 2 top 10s, I believe, but he finished 12th at Martinsville, and after seeing how some of the other rookies, notably Suarez, really struggled at Martinsville, a 12th place run for Eric Jones. That's pretty impressive. And Kurt Busch back there in 16th. I've honestly not paid any attention to Kurt Busch this season. He won the Daytona 500, but I'll be honest, I haven't really noticed him since then. So 16th, that must mean he hasn't been doing very well. And then we get here towards the back end of the list. We have Austin Dillon in 17th and Trevor Bayne in 18th. Now, Austin Dillon, it seems like that car at times will run well. Like, towards the end of last season, he had a few strong races, and he was in the chase and even advanced around in the chase because of it. I don't know that I've seen that as much this season. Trevor Bayne, I don't know, I guess they had to put a Roush driver on here somewhere. I haven't really been paying attention to him either. Where is he in points? I don't even know. And rounding out the top 20 on their power rankings are 2 that I'm sure I'm not happy about, and a lot of you probably aren't happy about. Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes in 19th. Matt Kenseth comes in 20th. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s luck did not go his way once again here at Martinsville. Had a rough day. Like I said, involved in a couple incidences. Finished 34th. Rough day for Junior Nation. I still get the impression that Junior's trying to get his feet back under him, so to speak, and try to get back in the rhythm of racing after missing so much time last year, but I think it also has to do with Hendrick Motorsports. With the exception of Chase Elliott, all the other 3 of their cars really haven't been that good this year. Like I was talking about, Jimmy Johnson hasn't been that impressive. Casey Kane's been off and on. Dale Jr. has gotten the short end of the stick on a lot of incidences this year. And the same, of course, can be said for Matt Kenseth, who, as I mentioned earlier, has 3 DNFs already this year. He's blown a tire, been caught up in a wreck, and he spun out a couple weeks ago. But I do find it surprising they put him down here in 20th as if he's not a threat to win at all. The 3 races he has not gotten DNFs in, he has 2 top 10s and a 3rd place finish at Atlanta. So yeah, he hasn't been super strong because JGR cars also have just not been that great in general. But to say he's 20th and make it out like he's not a threat to win, I think he's a bigger threat than Trevor Bayne or Austin Dillon to win. I think most people would agree with me there. Especially after his 9th place run at Martinsville, a track that historically has not been very good for him. He's been better there in the last couple of years, but historically not been a great track. A top 10 there, you'd think that it would help Kenseth out in the rankings a little bit, but what are you going to do? So yeah, that's a quick rundown of the power rankings. That's filled up most of the show. I didn't have much else to talk about. Nobody got in any big fights after Martinsville, so I didn't really have any drama to go over. I'm also in a rush to film this, because I have to go to class. Isn't that how life is? You want to sit here in your room by yourself and talk about racing, but you gotta go study Spanish. No bueno. I hope you guys enjoyed me reviewing. Again, that is NASCAR.com's list. That was not my personal list. My list would probably be a little bit different in a lot of cases. So let me know what you guys think about their list. Again, don't get mad at me. I'm not the one who put Junior in 19th. I'm sorry. But yeah, if you want to talk about that in the comments, I will be down. That sounds exciting. Thanks you guys for watching, as always. New episode next Thursday. They're coming out every Thursday at this rate. I still get questions, though, when Out of the Groove. is uploaded. It's pretty consistently on every Thursday. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Twitter, @Dex Racing. All these are in the description. Patreon, if you're able to contribute there. Keep this show rolling. I got some Dex hats. I never have my Dudley Cup Series hat here to show on camera, but it is on the other side of the room, so it's there. T-shirts. What else? My Snapchat's down there now as well. ericestepp, just no spaces, just my name. So if you want to add me there and see what I do on a day-to-day basis, I don't even post anything there on a day-to-day basis, but you can check it out there as well if you're really interested in that. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for your support. Thanks to all you guys who watch this show every week. That's super awesome that we're able to continue to build and add to this great NASCAR community that we have here. NASCAR honestly has, I know it's cliche to say, but it might have the best fans in sports. And I watch a lot of sports. I mean, I'm wearing a baseball hat. I got other stuff behind me. I watch a lot of sports, and I honestly think NASCAR fans might be the best ones. So it's super cool to see what we have going on here. Hope it continues. Thanks as always for watching. I've said that a lot. You know how it is. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a good weekend. Texas!